That's just part of the deal on that. But hopefully, we will still encounter an incredible God tonight. He has great things for us, and that's going to be awesome. So, Jeremiah, does it work on your neck? There we go. Now we're cooking. But yeah, it's hard to drink through that too. Although Ryland is an expert at that. Yeah, he can drink Coke through anything. Like your big sock. So, anyway, it's good. Come on in. Does anybody have like what you think is the best face mask? Most creative, funniest? Anybody got one of those? Who's got one? No good there, brother. No good on that. No, anybody got a funny one? Anybody? Creative? What do you got? Did you put something on there, Kelly? Let me see. Hold that up. Is it Woody and Buzz and all of them on there? Oh, that's cute. Anybody else got a funny one or a creative one? What do you got? Mickey Mouse. I like Mickey Mouse. It'd be funny if it was on your head or ears. But you gotta do what you gotta do, right? Anybody else got one? But that's not funny. That's not even American. Irish or Scottish or something. Someone's not here. Anyone else? Anyone else got Austin? They're pointing at you. You don't want to talk about it. Okay, we won't talk about it then. We won't talk about it. Well, put that mask on when you're walking to your chair. Where are you? That's why we put. Listen, I don't make the rules. I just have to enforce them, and I feel like a turd doing that, and I hate it. But I got to do what I got to do. So once you're in your chair, take it off, and you're fine. Then you can yell at your friends and talk. But when you get up from your chair, you got to put it on just because we're honoring that. Is that a face mask or is that a chin mask? Where's that? There we go. All right, now I see you. All right. All right. Kelly, come put your mask on. Come on up here. No, this is good. Where's Mickey Mouse? Where you at? Come on up here. Come on. I want to see these. Put it on so I can see them. Yeah, it's hard with a lollipop. That's good. Go right there. These are great. Masks are great. Jerry's mask doubles as something else that you'll probably see later. Come down here. All right, let me see this. That's awesome. Oh, it's really right down the front. So because of your creativity, each of you win a nice full Dr. Pepper. So there you go. There you go. Don't share that with anybody. You'll get that. So, but anyway, please work in the chat and get on those tonight because that's fun and all that. But we're glad to get. That's disturbing, is what that is, Jackson. Yeah. I don't even know what to say about that. I have no idea what to say. But you're here and all that. That's very good. But we are glad that you came and God gave us a nice cover, or maybe it's African dust. I don't know, but something is blocking the sun here. And we're having a great time with it, with you guys here. We do want to worship. We want to continue to worship. And like I said, I'm sorry for the rule of the mask. It's not what we would love to do, but it's what we need to do because of our city government, and we're going to honor the authority that's over us. Whether we agree or not is not our choice. We're going to honor and do that. And so that's why we ask you to wear the mask from your car to your chair, and you take it off. And then from your chair back to your car, and you just put it back on. So it's not that far, not that huge, but it helps us honor the authority that's there. And when we do that, God blesses obedience. And so that's what we're doing. We're going to obey because God asked us to, and that's where we're at. I do want to introduce to you a friend that you may or may not know. You may or may not remember from camp even. Some of you have known him a long time, but there he is. There he is. He's gone. He's back here. Rodney Williams back here. Rodney is a great friend. Yeah, a lot of you know Rodney. And we are beginning the process this week throughout the rest of the summer. We're kind of handing the baton off. Our lovely and talented Jaden is going off to college in the fall. And so he will be leaving us because something about furthering his education is more important than making him happy. But he's going to go off and do that, and Rodney is going to assume responsibility of youth band, youth worship, and hopefully as we get back in our building, which will be up front now with all the renovations happening, but he will begin to take over and develop the band as well. So if you have an interest, if you have a desire, he wants to connect with you in that way, and that's going to be good. So we're excited to have him here leading us in worship tonight. So let me pray, and then we're going to jump right in and dive into some worship. Heavenly Father, we're grateful for tonight. Thank you that we could gather together when many can't. And there are many places around our country that they can't even get out. But God, you're allowing us to be here, and we're gonna be as safe as we can, and we're gonna trust your hand in everything. And so, God, you take over in this worship. Be with Rodney. Be with Jared as he brings the word tonight. God, we're excited and expecting big things. We pray this in Jesus' name. Amen. All right, let's worship. Oh, sorry, Rod. I need to pray a little longer, didn't I? I don't want to mess up your pool.
How you guys doing tonight? Oh, we're good. Let's go. Come on.
Tell them what songs are. Let me tell you what songs are so you can look them up on your phone so you'll know the words. First song we're doing is Here as in Heaven. Here as in Heaven. If you want to look up the words, say Here as in Heaven. And then the next one is Great Things. So Here as in Heaven, Great Things. If you want to look them up, you can look them up, and that would be awesome. You can sing. But sing loud, and let's go.
Atmosphere is changing. For the Spirit of the Lord is here. And the evidence is all around. That the Spirit of the Lord is here. And the atmosphere is changing. For the Spirit of the Lord is here. And the evidence is all around. That the Spirit of the Lord is here. So overflow in this place. Fill our hearts with your love. Your love surrounds us. You're the reason we came to encounter your love. Your love surrounds us. And the atmosphere is changing. For the Spirit of the Lord is here. And the evidence is all around. That the Spirit of the Lord is here. So overflow in this place. Fill our hearts with your love. Your love surrounds us. You're the reason we came to encounter your love. Your love surrounds us. Maybe you all know where that can happen. Let's see that right now. Miracle can happen. The Spirit of the Lord is here. The evidence is all around. The Spirit of the Lord is here. So we're going to see great things. So I want to encourage you all. So last week, Alan talked to you all about in worship at camp, how you guys are just, it was just awesome just to hear. And I'll be honest with you guys, just being up there on the stage, just to hear you guys sing, there's nothing more beautiful than that to me. And I showed Alan the video of the song where we did great things at camp. And there's one point where we sing like Hallelujah, God above it all. And your voices were louder than the instruments. I can't make that up. Alan knows. He heard it. It's beautiful. So I want to encourage you all. Psalm 150 verse 6 says, let everything that has breath praise the Lord. Come on. You all have breath. You're living. If not, this would be a weird conversation. We have to start talking about walkers and all that stuff. Okay. But you guys have breath. So I want to encourage you all as we sing this song, Great Things, to lift up your voice, okay? You guys with me? Come, let us worship our King. Come, let us bow at His feet. He has done great things. See what our Savior has done. And see how His love overcomes. He has done great things. God, you do great things. Oh, here I have, you conquered the grave. You free every captive and break every chain. Oh, God, you have done great things. We dance in your freedom, awaken the light. Oh, Jesus, our Savior, name lifted high. Oh, God, you have done great things. You've been faithful in every storm. You'll be faithful forevermore. And you have done great things. And I know you'll do it again. For your promise is yes and amen. You will do great things. God, you do great things. Oh, hero of heaven, you conquered the grave. You free every captive and break every chain. Oh, God, you have done great things. We dance in your freedom, awaken the light. Oh, Jesus, our Savior, name lifted high. Oh, God, you have done great things. You know, that's a hallelujah. And hallelujah, hallelujah, God, Jacob, hallelujah. Sound beautiful. Let's sing it up even more. Come on. And hallelujah, God, above it all. Hallelujah, God, unshakable. Hallelujah, I've done great things. You've done great things. Oh, hero of heaven, you conquered the grave. You free every captive and break every chain. You have done great things. We dance in your freedom, awaken the light. Oh, Jesus, our Savior, your name lifted high. Oh, God. You have done great things. You have done great things. Oh God, you do great.
All right. You guys can have a seat if you would. Want to make some quick announcements here, and I think Jared's coming up here with me. Should be able to do that. Just a few things to make you aware of, even though times are weird and like I said, the new mandates in place for masks in public and doing all that stuff that's there. We're still having church on Sunday. I just want you to know church is still happening. Your small groups are happening at different times throughout the week. Most on Sundays, but we have one on Tuesday, a couple on Wednesdays. So we've got that opportunity. If you're like, well, I haven't been heard about that. I need to know what's going on. Talk to me or Jared. We'll get you all the information. Talk to your small group leader. Still want to get you connected as much as we can, as challenging as it is. So we are having services on Sunday morning at 9 o'clock and 11 o'clock. That's happening over in the worship center. And so please come. You don't have to make reservations anymore. You can just show up, and we'll sit in every other row and distance on the rows and try to keep that as best we can in there. just so that you'll know, heads up, I'm preaching in Big Church on Sunday, and so watch out. Well, we have one person, one round of applause. All right, so. No, I'm kidding. We don't have to do it. But I love the opportunity when Pastor Mark gives it, and so it's good for me to have an opportunity to do it. So that's happening on Sunday. What do you got, Jerry?
So mission team, it's one team. It's not Mexico or Romania because we're not going there. So it's one team, but I sent an email today to y'all. So check your email.
I got it.
Yeah, you did.
I saw it.
Yeah, you did.
Anybody else see it?
Let's go. Excellent. The rest of you need to look at it. But check your email. Check your spam. Might have gone there. But spam.
You never eaten spam,
It's disgusting. It's like a hot dog, right? But it's in a can.
I'm not sure what it is.
That's the point.
I fried it up though. I've eaten it fried. It's good. It's delicious. Okay, sorry. Go ahead. Check your spam.
So check your spam and basically just kind of outlines what we're going to be doing on the 10th with pre-teeners. And so it kind of gives an idea of what your assignment will be. That is subject to change based off of people, I won't say backing out, but things coming up where they can't come. We've had some of that already, and that's cool. And also based off of numbers of pre-teeners that come to camp. And so that is subject to change. Also, I have your t-shirts. And so if you have paid, you can get your t-shirts tonight after Powerhouse, and we'll get those to you so you can have that because we want you wearing your
both Romania and Mexico team.
Yeah, both of them. Yeah, get your shirts, and then we'll be wearing those shirts at camp. So I think that's it for.
I believe we have one modeling the shirts now.
Yeah. Stand up. Stand up.
Stand, do a little pirouette,
do a little 360 right there. Boom.
There we go.
Very nice. Thank you. Did that very well.
Okay, I'm up. So, how many of y'all went to Monday Munchies on Monday? Hey man, it was awesome. It was great. It was so good. We're doing it again next Monday. The same place. We're doing it in the duck pond right over here, same place. That gives us great opportunity to kind of stay together, but still stay social distance. And we can play wiffle ball, volleyball, cornhole, giant Jenga, all the different things. And so we're going to have a great time doing that. And so please, plan to come. 12 to 1:30. Bring your own food. That's kind of how that works. And we'll just hang out there together and talk. We'll be as socially distant. Just stay off of each other. We just need to be smart. And you should always stay off each other. That's like a biblical rule. Just don't get on each other. But stay out of each other's business is kind of what I'm saying with this. Don't give reason for that. According to what the mayor has said and the city council has said, if you're within 6 feet of people, you're supposed to have a mask on inside or outside. And so we're not going to require masks at Monday Munchies. You want to wear one coming to your car as you get. But just be wise, be smart. That's what we're asking. Be smart when we're hanging out with us. Does that make sense? Is that hard to ask? Okay, just help because we want to continue to get together and hang out together and have fun while this is going on. All right, next thing we got is intern challenge. If I can get the interns to please come on up here, mask up, make your way up here, then you can unmask. You may have seen me give out some Dr. Peppers earlier. No, right here in front. Right here in front. Come over here. Sam, right here in front. There's not room up here for y'all. Not for this side. Don't step on the wire. Don't step on the wire. There we go. All right. So get on the sidewalk there, and I'll give you your stuff. So it's really a quick kind of challenge. And so what I have this for you. Okay. And Ansley, I have. There should be another empty one in the youth program. Can you check real quick? Oh man, this is not good. I don't have all my supplies here. I have it over on the table. Need 2 empty ones. But here's what's going to happen, so I'll let you know. You're going to take that empty one. Oh, dude. Did you find it? Yep. Oh, it is. Oh, here we go. All right, thank you. So you have your empty one. Each of you will get one that has 19 peanut M&Ms in it. So you will take that one. So you will take this one. Now, whoever can get them from one bottle to the other bottle the fastest will be declared the winner. It's simple hand-eye coordination. That's really all it is. Who can do it the fastest? Does that make sense? So that's going to be the goal. You go ahead and take the lids off.
Sam's like, what's the catch? Like what? Are you not trusting us?
No. I never done that.
And then, once they're in the other bottle, the first one to eat them all wins. That's how that works. So they go from one bottle to the next, and then you get to eat them. So,
thank you. One of the Dr. Peppers was not earlier.
Yeah.
It was delicious.
All right, so ready? On your mark. Wait, who's going to win? Who says Ansley's going to win? Who says Sam's gonna win?
Yeah!
Who didn't vote?
Literally girls and then guys. Like, that was literally how that.
Are there any guys out here that think Ansley's gonna win? Are there any girls out here that think Sam's gonna win? Oh, you got a few. Okay. All right. Oh, look at Callie. That's awesome. She called you out. Ansley. I'll take offense to that. Ready, set, go! Go! Got to get them into the bottle and then eat them. Who can get? Oh, look at that.
Oh my gosh!
Oh, you're not allergic, right?
I hope not. That would be terrible. I didn't even check. No, in the mouth doesn't mean down the throat. Like, you look like a chipmunk right now.
Yeah, you do.
Nancy's going with the pace herself. Oh, throw it down. Just throw it down, girl. You go.
Ooh, they melted.
No, they got Dr. Pepper juice on it.
Oh,
Is what happened.
that's gross.
That is disgusting. I would throw up. If I
I mean, it's just
do that. What is your problem?
Crush it.
Oh, okay, the bottles are empty.
Come on, Sam.
She's gonna swallow them all.
Oh, don't do that.
Oh. Hey, Sam was in a wedding this last weekend. Did you know he was best man in a wedding last weekend because he was best man with the bride, which is awesome. Put your mask on. Walk into the chair. Thank you. Come on, knucklehead. There you go. Hold it over your face, Carol. Thank you. Come on, we done yet? What is the problem?
Press Virginia. Mountain Mama.
Jared declared Sam the winner. Jared declared Sam the winner. He just turned his face right.
It was super close, but Sam
There's
got
stuff
it.
in your mouth? What?
What's over here?
Open your mouth.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
I
you
got
left
the
your
purpose here.
Okay.
Oh.
Winner Sam!
Oh.
Winner Sam!
That's good nickname. You left your Invisalign in. Oh, dude, that's terrible. Sam, if you could stay here to work the mic, Alan, can I have your mic?
Sure, absolutely.
For birthday blessings, that'd be good. And here's the lights for that. If you've had a birthday in the last week, you can come up for your birthday blessings. Because that's what we're doing. Birthday blessings. Anybody, if you've had a birthday in the last week, come on up. Come on, Haley. When was your birthday, Haley? Today? Today's your birthday? Let's go. All right. How old? 14. Very good. You have some sunburn, don't you? Oh, a little bit. Okay. So, I guess you are our only birthday blessing for today. That's pretty cool. So 3 people. That'd be awesome. So if I can have 3 people. So the first birthday blessing for Haley, I will take a hand, and then you can come on up. Yeah, right here. Come on up. We will clean off the mic so you don't get Alan cooties. There you go. And you can give your birthday blessing. Ready, set? Yeah, you can take it there. We're all gonna die.
First off, I just want to say that you are an amazing person, and I love how you just explode with energy. And I wish I had that a little bit. Like, you have been with me through my toughest times and also my proudest moments, which is not falling off of the bus, not falling off. So I just want to say happy birthday and thank you so much.
Very good, very good. Okay, next. So, come on up. Haley, do you have both of your siblings here tonight? Okay. Of course he is. All right, ready, set, go.
For a really long time. Cookies are happy because you like smile and like this is so awkward. You give me hugs like all the time, and like even in church, and like seek me out to you and like stuff. I love it being back, and you don't have to be like so sad, like laugh. Make everybody else feel good and everything. Always open prayers and
Come on up, Zoe. Zoe. Oh, you're wearing a Mission t-shirt too. Look at you. That's awesome. Perfect. All right, last birthday blessing for Davey.
Okay. Happy birthday. I love sharing with my friends my life. It's a really great birthday gift. I love sharing. Love. We stayed up super late can't say you're my favorite singer. You are so unbelievably beautiful. You are so sweet and kind. And even when I step up here, or get super upset that you even when I involve you, you're always there. You're always asking, how can I help? Or always making it better. I love when you come in my room and you are in different outfits every time. I think my favorite one was carrying that tutu, the bathing suit on. That was funny. I don't know. I love you so much. Never change. Have a good day.
Hug that out, hug that out. You guys are in the same household. All right, there you go. A round of applause for our birthday blessings. Wow, that's me. Okay, we are going to pray back into worship, and we're going to do that. Thank you, Rodney. That'd be awesome. So let me pray, and then we'll jump back in. God, I keep losing my sermon. I just need to keep it with me. There we go. God, I thank you for tonight and just the beautiful weather, God, that we can just come here and just bless these students as they come and they want to hear from you. They want to worship you. And so I pray that you would speak to them personally tonight through worship and the sharing of your word. And God, that you would move through us, in us, so that we can be a reflection of you. God, we love you. We thank you. In Jesus' name, amen.
So we're going to sing a song called Fierce. Before I go, before I ever come, you answer me, you let the thunder high. I cannot run, this heart I'm tethered to you. With every step, I collide with you. Like a tidal wave, crashing over me, rushing into meet me here. Your love is fierce, like a hurricane that I can't escape, tearing through the atmosphere. Your love is fierce. Cannot fail. The only thing I feel is through it all. Never let me down. You don't hold back. Relentless in pursuit. At every turn, I come face to face with you. Like a tidal wave, crashing over me, rushing in to meet me here. Your love is fierce, like a hurricane that I can't escape, tearing through the atmosphere. Your love is fierce. You surround me, you chase me down, you seek me out. And how could I be lost when you have called me down? You chase me down, you seek me out. And how could I be lost when you have called me found? You chase me down, you seek me out. And how could I be lost when you have called me found? Like a tidal wave, crashing over me, rushing in to meet me here. Your love is fierce, like a hurricane that I can't escape, tearing through the atmosphere. Your love is fierce. Your love is fierce. Oh, your love is just feels. Your love just feels. Oh. So we're going to sing a song called Tremble. And I want to encourage you all. I want you guys to upset the neighbors a little bit. Lift up your voices. Can y'all do that on this one? Yeah. Awesome. So here's the fun part. We're going to do something fun towards the end of this song. So I want you guys just to follow me on that song, okay? Still, all the sea to still, the rage in me to still, every way, at your name, all these arms to breathe, the third desire to see, at your name, I will praise you, Jesus, Jesus. You make the darkness tremble, Jesus, Jesus. You silence fear, Jesus, Jesus. You make the darkness tremble, Jesus, Jesus. Call these bones to live, call these lungs to sing. Yeah. I will praise you, Jesus, Jesus. You make the darkness tremble, Jesus, Jesus. You silence fear, and Jesus, Jesus. You make the darkness tremble, Jesus, Jesus. And your name is a light that the shadows can't deny. And your name cannot be overcome. And your name is a light forever lifted high. And your name cannot be overcome. And Jesus, Jesus. You make the darkness tremble, Jesus, Jesus. You silence fear, Jesus, Jesus. You make the darkness tremble, Jesus, Jesus. Oh. Look at the voices. Oh, Jesus, Jesus. Silence fear,
Jesus, Jesus. You make the darkness tremble, Jesus, Jesus.
So can I ask you guys to help me sing this one part? Just look at the voices. It's an easy word or letter that we're going to sing. It's an O. Okay? You help me with that? It's like this. Death could not hold you. That door before you. Silence.
Heaven's praise you.
now and forever, God, you reign. Yours is the kingdom, yours is the glory, yours is the name above all names. What a powerful name, what a powerful name it is, the name of Jesus Christ. What a powerful name it is, and nothing can stand against. What a powerful name it is, the name of Jesus. What a wonderful name it is, the name of Jesus. What a beautiful name it is, the name of Jesus. Truly, God, in this moment, I just lift Jared up to you. Lord, that you would just speak through him, that our hearts would be impacted. God, that we would go and repent of whatever we are holding on to, whatever sin we are holding on to, God. There's truth as we sing the name of your Son. God, we know and do so many things, greater things as the word says. So God, I pray that you just speak for Jared. May we be impacted. God's in your great mighty name that we pray. Amen.
Thank you, Rodney. Man, we're so happy you're here. You're so good, man. That's awesome. Do a little shout out for Rodney. Do a little shout out. Do a little shout. There you go. That's awesome. Well, hey, this is how I want to start out tonight. I want you to get your Bible or whatever you use. You use your phone, get your Bible. If you have your physical Bible, this is what I want you to do. I want you to find Habakkuk. Yeah, it's a little game. Yes, try to find that. Habakkuk. That's where we're going to go tonight. Habakkuk. Some of you are like, I didn't even know that was a book in the Bible. And you're like, now you're going to. Habakkuk. Now, if you're smart, you'll use your table of contents, and it'll take you right to it. But that'll be good, or you scroll. Or if you just want to try to find it on your own, it's going to take you a little bit because it's small. It'll hide in there. It's a big book, the Bible. So that's where we're going to go. If you get there, that'd be great. If you got it, raise your hand. If you got it, raise your hand. Look at you. Look at you. All right, keep it up. Keep it up. Keep it up. Keep it up. There you go. Okay. Who else? Who else? Who's got it? Who's got it? Get in there. Get in there. Yeah, buddy. I see you in the back. I see you, Zebra Boy. That's awesome. Okay. So if you got Habakkuk, everybody say Habakkuk. Habakkuk. It sounds like something when you sneeze. Habakkuk. You know, it's kind of weird like that. I think when Sam and I potentially, maybe, eventually have a son, that's definitely a contender for a name. That and Obadiah. Those are two minor prophets. Those are good. But that's not like a hint or anything. Like that's not she's not pregnant. It's not going to happen. So we're waiting. God willing. But if you're at Habakkuk, we're going to talk about Habakkuk tonight. And the reason why we're looking at Habakkuk, about a week ago, I was just skimming through my Bible. I have one of those Bibles where I have a journal Bible, and so I love to take notes. I love the circle stuff. I love the highlight stuff. And so I was just skimming through and reading my notes from different passages and different books, and I came across Habakkuk, and something that I wrote just jumped out at me, and I'm like, is this not our time right now? And so that's what we're going to be looking at. That's what we're going to be talking about tonight. Habakkuk was a dude. He was a prophet for Judah. That was the city nation that he was living in. And a prophet, if you don't know what a prophet is basically the main communication between people, God's people, and God. Like he is the mediator. And so God would tell him something, and then he would tell the people stuff, right? And then people will tell him stuff, and he'll observe things, and he'll talk to God. And so main communication, the mediator between God and people, and that's what Habakkuk was. And Habakkuk was living in Judah, and Judah at that time was going through it was really tough. There was a lot of bad things that were going on. Their leader at the time was really bad. He was really corrupt, a lot of injustice. There was a lot of morally bad things that were happening, and Habakkuk didn't like it. He was heartbroken over it. This is his nation that he is serving and loving, and he's just seeing some really bad stuff. It looked really dim. It was a really dark time for Habakkuk and that nation. And so Habakkuk, in his book, he complains. He complains to God. And this is, if you want to look, verse 2 through 4, it says this in chapter 1. It says, "How long, Lord, must I call for help, but you do not listen? Or cry out to you violence, but you do not save? Why do you make me look at injustice? Why do you tolerate wrongdoing? Destruction and violence are before me. There is strife and conflict abounds. Therefore the law is paralyzed and justice never prevails. The wicked hem in the righteousness so that justice is perverted." Basically, Habakkuk is like, God, all of this is happening. Where are you? God, I don't see where you're at in any of this. I have called out to you for help, and nothing is happening. I see nothing. It's just getting worse. There's violence and injustice, and you claim to be a God, a good God, that is all about justice, and I see injustice all around me. Where are you, God? I think every single one of us, at some point in life, we ask this very question, God, where are you? God, where are you? Some of you right now in our country and in your home and in just your life, you're asking this question, God, where are you in all of this? Where are you? Because I'm seeing a lot of bad stuff. Where are you? I know when I was younger, when I was in middle school, and some of you know my story, but I got bullied really bad. And that was a question that I asked because I was like, God, if you're a good God, why would you allow these bad things to happen to me? Why would you? And then when my dad lost his job, God, where are you in this? These are questions that I asked, and I have asked in my life. The cool thing about Habakkuk being a prophet, he got a response from God. Habakkuk 1, 5 through 6 says this. This is God's response to Habakkuk's complaint, his worry that he had. He says this in verse 5. "Look at the nations and watch and be utterly amazed. For I am going to do something in your days that you would not believe even if you were told. I am raising up the Babylonians, that ruthless and impetuous people who sweep across the whole earth to seize dwelling not their own." God says, look and watch and be amazed. Get your popcorn, get your soda, get ready and watch, because I'm about to do something that's going to absolutely blow your mind. So are you ready, Habakkuk? Because get ready, it's about to happen. "For I am going to do something in your day that you wouldn't even believe it, even if I told you. You wouldn't believe it." It's kind of like, Habakkuk was seeing all the injustice. He was seeing all the things, and he's like, I don't see God in this. But God says, I've been doing things from the very beginning. I haven't stopped doing anything, and I'm about to do something incredible. It might seem like he's not doing anything, but he absolutely is. There was a friend that I had in high school. He was he was funny. He was kind of one of those kids that he always had those like one-liners, super quiet, and super like introverted, right? But he's super funny, like hilarious. But he's kind of mopey and kind of was like, not an outcast, but he's kind of, I don't know, kind of weird. I mean, we're all weird, but he was definitely weird. And he told me one time, he's like, hey, we're having our performance in a week. You should come and see it. I don't remember what performance it was because he was part of the play performance club. And so I was like, you're in that? Like, you do that? Like, you act and stuff? He's like, no, I do the backstage stuff. I was like, oh, that's interesting. I kind of want to learn about that. So, who's all in theater? Who's in theater here? There you go. So, different schools, different things. You have bigger stuff. I went to a big school, and so they had enough students where you would have the media team, you had the backstage people, you have your performers, and so our theater program was really good. And so he was one of the backstage guys, and so what he would do is he would help with costume changes, he would help with set changes, and all that stuff. And so when I'd go and watch, I try to find him, right? I'm like, where is he at? I wonder what he's doing right now. See if I can get a glimpse. And I never really did, never saw him. And so, but I knew that he was doing stuff. I knew that he was working behind the scenes and he was doing things to make that play great. and helping and doing the things that were his strengths. He wasn't a great performer, but he was definitely doing stuff behind the scenes to make that play great, awesome, because it really was phenomenal. See, a lot of times when it comes to God, God is not necessarily, especially in tough times, God's not necessarily in the big performer or anything. Like he might be, like there's some great things that would be happening, but a lot of times God is working behind the scenes, the stuff that you don't see that's happening right now. All the hard stuff that you're going through, he might be working behind the scenes. He's still working. He hasn't stopped. Just because you could see Justin doesn't mean that he doesn't exist. It doesn't mean that he's not doing anything. He absolutely is. The same thing with God. Just because you can't see what God is doing right now doesn't mean that he's not doing something. He absolutely is doing something right now. And so remember that. Remember that. God, just because you can't see it doesn't mean that he's not doing something. There's a guy, a disciple that Jesus had. His name is Thomas. You might know Thomas. There was a really bad time, you probably know, obviously, but when Jesus died, that was a horrible day. It's a horrible time. I mean, you had these 12 guys, and you have all the other hundreds of people that had followed Jesus for so long, and then Jesus dies. He gets murdered. It's a horrible day. That's a horrible time. Devastating. No hope. Nothing. Right? And all the disciples go on with their life and go fishing and whatever they did with their lives, and just went back to normal life. Hopeless. Broken. Hopeless. And then 3 days later, Jesus rises from the dead, and it's awesome, right? But then Thomas didn't believe it. He's like, I won't believe it until I see Jesus. I need to see him. I need to touch his wounds. I need to touch his hands. I need to touch his side, and then I'll believe. I need to see it. So he gets told that 8 days later, Jesus just shows up. Woo! Like it says in that story, it says that the doors were locked. We're like, we don't know how he got in here, but he's in here. Like, he's kind of funny in that way. He broke through a window. But Jesus is there, and he literally goes up to Thomas. He says, give me your hand. Puts his hand in his hand, touches his side. And Thomas is like on cloud nine, like, God, Jesus, you are the Son of God. You are my Lord. You're all this. And this is what Jesus says. Jesus said in John 20:29, he says, have you believed because you've seen me? Blessed are those who have not seen, yet have believed. See, that blessed are the ones that don't see and believe. A lot of the things that are going on right now, we might not see what God is doing, but we're believing that he's doing something. Let's believe that, because he is doing something right now. We're going to talk about that a little bit more as we go on. But anyway, so God responds, and then we get a little bit of a glimpse of what God is going to do. God talks about the Babylonians, and Habakkuk's like, whoa, what? The Babylonians, they're worse than us, and they're going to come and conquer us, and they're going to stomp over us and take us into exile, and that's eventually what he's going to be talking about. But then, this is Habakkuk's response to that. He says this in verse 12, Lord, are you not from everlasting? My God, my Holy One, you will never die. You, Lord, have appointed them, the Babylonians, to execute judgment. You, my rock, have ordained them to punish. Your eyes are too pure to look on evil. You cannot tolerate wrongdoing. Why then do you tolerate the treacherous? Why are you silent while the wicked swallow up those more righteous than themselves? And so Habakkuk's like, that's your solution? All this injustice in our nation, all the bad things that are happening in our nation, and your solution is to bring something even worse than us, to conquer us and beat us up and treat us like dogs? Like, that's your solution, God? That seems kind of crazy to me. I don't want that. That sounds terrible. God, I thought you were a good God. I thought you were a good God. I thought you cared about us, that you want the best for us, that you were all about justice. And these people are all about injustice, and you're bringing them. They're even worse than us. The truth is, and you'll find out later in the story, the truth is a lot of times God's plan does not make sense. It just doesn't. It doesn't make sense, but it will later. And it might not be on this side of heaven, but it will make sense. When Jesus died, it didn't make sense to the disciples. It didn't make sense. But after he resurrected, it made a whole lot of sense. The same with the stuff that's going on right now. It doesn't make sense right now, but it will later. He oftentimes uses the evil of man to accomplish his plan. 100%. He uses the evil of man to accomplish his plan. There's a story of a guy named Joseph in Genesis at the very beginning of the Bible. And Joseph had 11 brothers. and they were super jealous of Joseph. Their dad loved Joseph, like he was the golden child. His brothers hated him, and so they wanted to kill him. They didn't do that. They're like, oh, maybe we shouldn't kill him. Oh, we'll just sell him to slavery. Like, we'll just do that, like get rid of him. Like, and that's what they did. Don't you think Joseph was like, where are you, God? Where are you, God? I've just been sold into slavery. This is terrible, God. If you're a good God, why would you allow this to happen to me? But what ends up happening, he gets sold into slavery. He goes to Egypt. He wins some favor in the officials. He ends up going to second in command in the empire of the Egyptians, and he's the man. Like, he is doing things. He's awesome. And then there's a famine that happens. There's no food. And then his brothers go to Egypt because they're like, we don't have any food. And so Joseph is like, y'all don't even know who I am. I've changed so much. I'm buff. I'm good looking. Like, look at this. And they don't recognize him. And Joseph's like, hey, guess what? I'm Joseph. I'm your brother. What's up? Look at me. You sold me into slavery. Now I'm like second in command. I'm rolling. So it's awesome. But this is what Joseph said to his brothers in Genesis 50, verse 20. This is one, man, either write it down, it's good. He says this, you, saying to his brothers, you intended to harm me, but God intended it for good to accomplish what is now being done, the saving of many lives. You meant to harm me. Your evil meant to harm me, but God intended it for good to accomplish what is now being done in the saving of life. God was in control of that whole situation. He allowed that whole situation to happen so that Joseph would be in power in Egypt, so that he could save the rest of his people from the famine that was happening right there. It's amazing. It looked like a terrible thing that was happening, but it ended up being good. God takes the evil of man to accomplish his plan. And a lot of times when it comes to the evil that's going on in the world, a lot of times we point our finger at God. God, what are you doing? Why would you allow that to happen? What are you doing? What? We do that. But the truth is that it's not his fault. We were the ones that rebelled. We were the one, there's the evil forces you read about in Ephesians that we're fighting against. That's the war right there. But then you have broken people that are messed up. We've turned away from God. We have. And so we choose what is good, and we're really bad at it. Like, really bad at it. Like, God knew what was good, and Adam and Eve were like, nah, we want to know what's good. We want to choose what's good and evil. And they've been bad at it, and humans have been bad at it ever since. But a question that people often ask is, why did God not stop that from happening? Whatever the situation is. Why did God not stop that from happening? And the question is a hard question. Honestly, it's a I don't know answer. I don't know. But I do believe that God is going to use it for a purpose, and he allowed it to happen for a purpose. So Ellie is 8 months old now. She's beautiful. She's gorgeous. And just fun and just wrecks everything in the house. It's awesome. Like, she's just crawling all over the place. Something that Ellie wants to do constantly is to eat cat food. I kid you not. We have Hank's his food in his water bowl in the kitchen, and she constantly wants to go and eat cat food. Like, she just, like, we tell her no, and Ellie knows no. She knows what it means because she does stop. And she's like, every time that she stops and she actually listens, she claps her hands. She like celebrates herself for listening. It's so funny, but every time, it doesn't matter how many times we tell her no, 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 she still wants to. And so I had a thought. Well, what if I just let her do it? Now, some of you are like, you didn't. I'm like, well, maybe. I did. It was kind of one of those things as a parent, you're like, well, will it really hurt her? Like, it's just cat food. Like, it's fine. Like, and she'll learn. So she did. After many times of like picking her up and like, no, you can't stop it, stop it, stop it. I was like, you know what, go for it. And then she did it, and she hated it, as I knew she would. And she hasn't touched it ever since. Like, that's great parenting. That's awesome right there. So as a parent, I made a decision. I could have easily, now it would have been tiring, but I could have easily just kept telling her no and picking her up every single time that she tried to get in the cat bowl. I could do that. Or I have a decision to make, and I could say, you know what? go ahead. Go ahead. If you want to do that, go ahead and see what happens. I'm telling you it's not a good thing. I'm telling you you're not going to like it, but go ahead, go do it. And then she ended up not liking it, and now she doesn't do it anymore. That's a win. So, a lot of times, in the different situations that we're walking through in life, right now, in the past, and going into the future, there are times when God allows things to happen, but again, He allows it for a reason. He allows it for a purpose. It's either to teach you, it's either for a greater purpose that's not even about you, and even it might be on a global scale, like the stuff that's happening right now. Did God allow coronavirus? Obviously. Did God allow George Floyd's situation? Obviously He allowed it. Like, these are things that God allowed, but it was for a purpose. It doesn't seem good, it seems evil, because it is evil. All of it's evil, but God uses evil for His plan, because evil exists, but He uses it for good. Because there's a passage, Romans 8:28, you probably know it. It says this, and we know that those who love God, all things, you should circle that, all things, work together for good for those who are called according to His purpose. All things, good and bad. He's working it out for the good of you. And so there you go. So Habakkuk is like complaining. He's like not getting it. Then God responds with this. Chapter 2, verse 2 through 4. God says this. They go back and forth like a conversation. Lord answered him and says this. Write the vision. Make it plain on tablets, so he may run who reads it. For still the vision awaits its appointed time. It hastens to the end. It will not lie. You should highlight this if you can, or circle it, because it's really good. If it seems slow, wait for it. It will surely come. It will not delay. Behold, his soul is puffed up. It is not upright within him, but the righteous shall live by his faith. So right here, he's saying, like, okay, I know it seems crazy. I know this seems weird. I think it seems hard, like it doesn't sound good, but write this down. It's important. You need to know this because you're going to be sharing it. And then he said, in the vision, there goes that. In the vision that I'm going to give you, I'm going to give it clear as day, and I want you to write it down. And the ending is going to be good. I'm going to tell you it's good. But when it seems slow, when it seems like it's taking forever, wait for it, because it surely will come. It will not delay. God is a promise maker. He's a promise keeper. Whatever He says actually happens. That's the truth. And so He's saying what's about to happen, what I'm about to tell you is going to happen, is not going to delay. In the meantime, as you are waiting, live by faith, because that's what the righteous will do. And eventually God shares what He's about to do with the Babylonians. He's going to use the Babylonians to purify and to punish Judah, but then there's going to be good that's going to come out of it, and justice will prevail. God is going to bring justice on the Babylonians, and that it's going to be a good thing. But then there's the waiting, and we don't like to wait. Right now, we don't know what's going on. We've been doing a whole lot of waiting. God, what's the good that's going to come out of this situation with coronavirus or all the stuff that's going on? Where's the good? And we're just waiting. We're in the anticipation period right now. We don't like it. I don't like waiting for popcorn. Like I hate that. It's 2 minutes. It's so long. I don't like that. But we don't like to wait. But while we're waiting, have faith. That's what God says. I don't know if you guys know this, but there's this thing called Chinese bamboo. Chinese bamboo is very fascinating in the way that it grows. So Chinese bamboo, you plant it like a normal plant. You take seeds, you sow it in the ground, and then you water it, and it needs sun. That's what it does. In the first year, you don't see anything. In the second year, you don't see anything. Third year, what do you think happens? Nothing. Yeah, nothing. Fourth year, nothing. Isn't that crazy? Nothing. You don't see anything for 4 years. In the fifth year, towards the end of the fifth year, you'll start to see something. Start a little bit. The Chinese bamboo will grow 80 feet in 6 weeks. Shoots up like crazy. If you were in the building, I'd show you a video of it. It's pretty great, like a time lapse. It's absolutely mind-blowing. My question to you is this. Did the bamboo grow in 6 weeks or 5 years? 6 weeks or 5 years?
5 years.
5 years. 5 years, it did. Because what you didn't see was the root system that was growing underneath the surface. That's what was happening. All the watering and all the sunshine, and every day that you walked out to your yard and you're watering the ground and your neighbors think you're crazy because there's nothing happening. Like, that's just what's happening, and you're watering it for 5 years, and then it eventually shoots up, and then you're laughing at your neighbors because it actually happened, right? But that's what happened. It takes so long. So in that anticipation period, you have to water it. If you don't water it, it's not gonna happen. Just for us, in this anticipation period of not knowing what's going to happen, we're not sure what's going to happen, what good is going to come out of this. We're in this anticipation period. The watering is our faith. Have faith in this moment. Have faith. Believe that God is going to come through, and that good is going to come out of this, and that He's working. And it might be in the smallest details. Personally, there might be things that God is doing in you right now that is incredible. He's sharpening you. He's making you small and big. God is working in all of our lives. And so what is He doing? What is He sowing? What is He doing? Do you have faith in this time? So here's the last part of Habakkuk. This is the ending of his little book. It says this in Habakkuk 3:16. It says this, I hear and my body trembles. My lips quiver at the sound. Rottenness enters into my bones. My legs tremble beneath me. Yet I will quietly wait for the day of trouble to come upon people who invade us. Though the fig tree should not blossom, nor fruit be on the vines, the produce of the olive fail, and the fields yield no food, the flock be cut off from the fold, and there be no herd in the stalls. Yet, verse 18, yet I will rejoice in the Lord. I will take joy in the God of my salvation. God, the Lord, is my strength. He makes my feet like deer's. He makes me tread on my high places. God speaks to Habakkuk. And Habakkuk's response is, God, I'm scared. God, you have told me what's going to happen. You've given me a little bit of a glimpse, and I'm physically anxious over this. It is not going to be good. It's going to be hard. It's going to be ugly. there's going to be a lot of suffering. I'm not going to like this. It's not going to be fun. But, verse 18, I will rejoice in you. I'll rejoice and I'll take joy in you, because that's where my joy comes from, because I know that you are going to be doing a thing that I cannot understand, and it's going to be good. I rejoice in you, God. I will worship you, God, even in the midst of this terrible, terrible, terrible time. Habakkuk came to God doubting, concerned, and with complaints, and he walked away from God worshiping and full of faith. My question for you tonight is, where are you right now? Where are you? Because it seems dim, it seems dark, there seems like there's just no good happening right now. But where are you right now? Are you full of faith? Or are you struggling and having questions? And questions are great. Questions are good. God wants you to ask those questions, those hard questions, because He wants to speak to you in a personal way and help you with those questions and work through it, so then you can walk away worshiping Him and full of faith, so you can be effective for His kingdom, so that you can be strong in this hard time, and you can be a light in a dark place. So I'm gonna pray, and Rodney's gonna finish up with one last song and just kind of soak in all of this. And I hope this was good. Habakkuk is a great book, and I encourage you. It's a short one, so read it. I just kind of hit the highlights of it, but read it. It's good. It's so prevalent, so relevant to the things that were going on right now. So let me pray, and then we'll jump into worship. Just one last song. God, I thank you for your word. I thank you that, God, even when things don't make sense, they don't make sense. It seems crazy. It seems hard. Like, God, why would you allow this to happen? These things. But God, you are in the middle of it. God, you are working out all things for the good of your people. And so we trust you that good things, great things are going to come. If not on here, this earth, God, it's in heaven. We have that hope in Jesus. And so, God, I pray that in this time as we just sit and we sing and we stand and we reflect, because God, you are moving, you are working. And God, just speak to us in this moment. Be near to us in this moment. Because students might be walking through stuff that's just so hard. But let them know that you are near and you care and you hear. Just like Habakkuk. Habakkuk saying, "What, God, you don't listen. God, you do listen. And you do care." Speak to them in this moment in Jesus' name.
You give life. You give life. You are love. You bring light to the darkness. You give hope. You restore every heart that is broken. Great are you, Lord. It's your breath in our lungs. So we pour out our praise. We pour out our praise. It's your breath in our lungs. So we pour out our praise to you, Lord. You give life. You are love. You bring light to darkness. Every heart that is broken. Great are you, Lord. It's your breath in our lungs. So we pour out our praise. We pour out our praise. It's your breath in our lungs. So we pour out our praise to you, Lord. It's your breath in our lungs. So we pour out our praise. We pour out our praise. It's your breath in our lungs. So we pour out our praise to you, Lord. We'll shout your praise. Our hearts will cry. These bones will sing. Great are you. And all the earth will shout your praise. Our hearts will cry. These bones will sing. And great are you, Lord. All the earth will shout your praise. Our hearts will cry. These bones will sing. And great are you, Lord. It's your breath, our lungs. So we It's your breath in our lungs. So we pour out our praise to you only. It's your breath in our lungs. So we pour out our praise, God. We pour out our praise. It's your breath in our lungs. So we pour out our praise to you. Oh, it's your breath. We
I just have to tell you guys how much I love you. I do. Man, Jared and I have the best job in the entire world, and I don't care who has what or how much they get paid. No one has the job that we have, the chance to hang out with you guys and love you guys and point you to Jesus. Thank you for coming and giving up your evening to be here. And I pray that the word that was spoken takes root in your heart and it encourages you as you face the crud every day. And you have things on social media. You have all this stuff blasting you about what's wrong with the world. But God is at work. He's at work. And here's the deal. What the world doesn't know is you're the bamboo that Jared was talking about. You're the thing that no one sees coming. The students right here in this youth group and around our world that are right now are about to burst forth and make an incredible difference on our world. Like, that's who you are. You're that bamboo. Be encouraged by that. You're not less than. You're not damaged goods. You're not too young. Scripture says don't let anyone look down upon you because you were young, but set an example for the believers in life and love and faith and speech and in purity. And that's the challenge that we have. And I hope that you take it and run with it, man, because we love you so stinking much. So thank you for being here. Here's what we're going to ask as we leave. I know it's weird and I know it's disappointing, but we're asking that you put your mask on as you leave your chair and make your way to your cars or to your parents or whatever, and that's fine. Watsons, don't leave until I give something to you for your brother. So I need to get that for you from my office. But other than that, I love you guys. Mask up. Go with God. But go. We love you. Mission Team shirts, if you pay, you can pick your shirts up from Jared. Mission Team, you can find it at the youth building up here. Rodney, I love you, bro. Thank you, man. Let's do this again.
Can I end it?
Oh, yeah. Sorry. I didn't realize it was still going.
I don't know. I don't want to shut it down and.
Yeah, if you clicked end stream, I think you'll cut it off, and then it might just take a second. And then,
Well, it says it's still going. That's the problem. It's frozen.
is that what it is?
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Well, if I lose my stuff, no, I'm just kidding. I don't have anything open right now. Oh my goodness. You killed it!
Completely frozen.
You killed
I don't even
it!
know how I did it.
You killed my computer!